AKUAK, an audacious, astute, highly experienced petroleum engineering expert, vision-driven entrepreneur, and industry captain, is the Chief Executive Officer of Springrock Group, one of the frontline diversified oil and gas firms in Nigeria.
I happen to have, studied in Nigeria, and I did my NYSC. And luckily for me, at the end of my NYSC, I was sent overseas. I was hired by Schlumberger and sent overseas. And for about 2 decades, I worked in every continent except Australia, worked in 20-something plus countries. And I was observing and learning how people lived and how they did things, not just in the oil and gas space, but as a country, in a place. And at some point, I said to myself, I believe I've learned quite a bit of things, that I need to take this back to my own country and be able to, be part of the country. Prior to that, Schlumberger has sent me back to Nigeria in 2010, and I was the group managing director for West Africa. My remit was Equatorial Guinea, Cameroon, Nigeria, all the way to Mauritania. I did that for about 4 years plus. Then I went back to the United States in another position. But after about a year, I decided to come back to Nigeria to put those ideas and things that I've come across over the years into play. In oil and gas, we set out to occupy all the spaces that is needed to effectively develop an oil and gas field. So we started with the well construction, and our approach to well construction was a little bit larger than what was a norm. We had the ability to start from what you call field development plan all the way to when you hook up the well to production. And we did extremely well in that domain with a number of new ways to do things. And we have a litany of things that we've done that were done for the first time in Nigeria, done by us. Then we went into engaging companies, looking at how they are structured. Do they have process and procedures? How could they enhance the way they work? How do they develop their people? Beyond that, we went into talent development. We realized that for us to be successful, we will not be able to hire everybody we need. We also needed to develop some of the people we need. So we got a number of young, fresh engineers, and our goal was to put them through intensive 9 months training to actually, at the end of that 9 months, they will have capabilities equivalent to somebody who has 3 years work experience. So, and as we built our strength in talent development, we next went into production management, and the list goes on and on. And part of that, we instituted the idea of a research program, both internally and with universities. So over time, we garnered all the capabilities that you require to optimally manage an oil field. So our current frontier now, which I think will be the closure, or if you like, the crowning glory of the Springrock story, is to be able to partner with like minds to have our own asset, where we put all this knowledge and capabilities to most optimally run an asset. And in a way also, I say, we'll be our own laboratory, where we'll test our new innovations and ideas, and when we have made them successful, we can turn around, sell that to the rest of the world. So that's how Springrock began. But over time, we've grown beyond oil and gas. We've gone into ICT. And how did ICT come by? As part of our search to find better ways to do things, to improve our processes, we decided that we're going to digitize some of our processes, build softwares to make certain things quicker, and we're able to do that. And then at the point I asked myself, okay, if we can do this for ourselves, we can do this for the rest of the world. So there came our ICT business. So currently we have 3 footprints in the ICT domain. We have the development company, which we call CBIT, and they can build software programs, platforms, applications, and so on and so forth. We are on the verge of launching into the e-commerce space, and we are, I think, weeks away, not even months away. And we will bring something completely different into that space, but I hope it will be very well received. And at the same time, we are also working into the payment and fintech space, so that we are able to connect all these 3 ecosystems. And we are continuously looking for what is next. And like I said, our goal is not the competition. Our goal is the customer. If we capture the customer, we beat the competition. So beyond ICT, we are also into business services. And why business services? In this part of the world, unfortunately, you have to do everything yourself. And that makes things very difficult and very expensive. I'll give you an example. We have an entity in the US where we also run Springrock. And this entity outsources its payroll services to a company called ADP. ADP charges us $75 a month to manage our payroll. Can you imagine that? If we had to hire an accountant in the US, we will not even find one for $1,000, right? And can you imagine $1,000 or more to $75 a month? That's a huge savings for a company. So the idea of business services is to be able to provide things like payroll management, human resources management to small companies, so that instead of 5 or 6 companies each going to hire one accountant, we could actually have one senior accountant who can serve each of those companies, and they'll save a significant amount of cost. So that's a business that's still about in its infancy from our side, and that's something we expect that will grow with time, and it will be well embraced, and it will be something that's good not only for the country, but also it will also spur some growth for us. So that's how we came about Springrock Group. We are still thinking of other things. I have in my back of my mind what I call the Springrock Technologies, in which we'll ultimately create a technology park. And that technology park will aggregate people who want to innovate. Of course, largely, most of them will be very young people, but if you're 90 years old and you want to innovate, you'll also be welcome. So we've already started a little bit testing that idea with what we call the University Gambit. I probably will talk about it later. But with that, when we create the Springrock Technologies Park, that will be another place where we'll incubate. And in this environment, then we'll not only be incubating for oil and gas or for ICT, but we also look at how do you leverage an idea. You know, if you look, for example, there is a tool that was a revolution in the oil and gas industry. That tool actually was borrowed from the medical field, because the medical field was already advanced in nuclear magnetic resonance. And at some point, the oil and gas leveraged on the nuclear magnetic resonance from the medical to come up with advancements in the oil field. So part of what we'll do in our technology park will be not only that some idea comes up, even if it was built for agriculture, for example, then we'll start to ask ourselves, could this be used in manufacturing? Could this be used in a hospital? That way, you know, you see that things will spread and germinate in a very large scale. So that's where we are going. Hopefully, God gives us the strength, we'll get there. Our vision is to be the organization that can deliver to the industry at the most optimal level, okay? And we will deliver to them when we are serving customers, and we'll also deliver to industry when we are serving ourselves. And the things that we create for ourselves will bring back to the industry to uplift the optimization of the industry. You know, in oil and gas, it's a very lucrative business. And quite often, no matter what you do, you're profitable. But what we want to challenge is your profit good enough, right? Why is it 20%? It could actually be 45%. So if you find ways to optimize your processes, to make savings, to do things quicker, to monetize your assets faster, you actually could significantly grow your business. So what we ultimately will achieve is to be that one-stop shop that's able to optimally develop an asset to the best possible way, and in a way to render service to other people. I'll give you a small example. We went to an oil field that was developed by an international oil company. And for them to work in that oil field, they had to go with special rigs. They had to go with special vessels, because the field is a river channel that is very shallow. So you needed extra low draft equipment. Now, these special rigs and vessels are very few around the world. They are very expensive. if you need them, not only that you pay more, but you're going to wait for a long time to be able to get one. If you had a project you wanted to start in March 2024, you probably might wait till end of 2026 to have one available for you, plus you spend a lot of money. What did Springrock do? We were able to devise a means to use regular rigs, regular vessels to work in that field. And when we were doing that, this international oil company, they heard what we were doing and they wrote and said they wanted to observe what this tiny Nigerian company was doing. They were amazed that we could do what they couldn't do. So that's when I talk about innovation. It's finding ways to do things in a better way, in a faster way, in a cheaper way, without necessarily resorting to things that are very, very esoteric. I would say we're about 7.5, because there are still the pieces that haven't come in. And of course, that vision was not going to be achieved overnight, right? So you have to start somewhere and you grow. So my very assessment is we're about 7.5, and I hope we're going to get to that 10 in not too long time from now. Take the oil field as a farm, okay? And take the person who owns the oil field as a farm owner, okay? So now, as a farm owner, there are several different things you need to do from when you say, I'm going to plant, to when you harvest, right? So one of the things you want is somebody to come in and say, this farm, this is the way we are going to cultivate it. And this is how long it's going to cultivate. That's what we call field development planning. So one of the things we do is we come in and say, this is the best way to develop this field. This is the technology, this is the number of wells, this is how long it will take to drill it, and so on and so forth. So we do field development planning. Beyond the field development planning, we go into well construction, because the well has to be drilled, right? And there's so many things that goes into a well construction. There's engineering, there's design, there's programs, and so on and so forth. So we construct the wells, and then the wells are hooked up to production. What I call hooking up to production is almost like the plumbing in your house, right? You put the tap on top so that you can open the water when you want, and you can close the water when you want. So that's really what we do when we put what we call the Christmas tree. So then you can now connect the well to a pipeline that can deliver oil to wherever you're gathering it. So we're in that space. Now, when you've done that, you now have to manage the field over time. That's called production management. You have to see, how is the field behaving? Is it doing what it's supposed to do? Is it falling behind? What do I do to bring it back to where it's supposed to be? So we have production engineering and production management expertise, to be able to make sure that the field is kept at where it's supposed to exist optimally. In addition, we also have the expertise for developing people, right? Because for you to do whatever you're doing, people have to be trained. You not always have people who have 20 years experience. There are people who came out of university yesterday. They have to be prepared. So we're also providing training and development service to the industry. And in addition, we do what I call consulting, but it's not the consulting of what I call it the consulting industry. Our consulting is where we come in and we say, this needs to be changed, this is not good, we are going to work with you, it's going to take 5 weeks, and this is how we are going to work with you. So we not only identify what is missing, we also prescribe what is to be done, and we work with you to put it in place. So that is where the Springrock M Consults is a bit different from a classical consulting outfit. So we get the job done alongside with the company. So those are the things we do in the oil and gas phase. Like I said, God willing, not too long from now, we'll have our own oil and gas field. So you can add producing of oil and gas to that list when we get there. So that's what we do in the oil and gas space. In the ICT, we build software platforms and systems. We're about to go into e-commerce. We are going to fintech next to that. And in the business services, we provide business services related to finance, human resources, recruiting, training, and so on. The market has responded positively well to them, and I think we have grown quite measurably over the years. But we also have to admit that nobody can capture all the market for a number of reasons. While we aim to be able to capture everybody, but not everybody is willing to go through the rigor of what we do. Now, some people may want things to be done, I would say, in a relatively way that we are not comfortable as professionals to be part of. So those people, we are not able to capture them. And then, you know, the other people are more aligned with the way we want to do things. So I think we are happy where we are. Can we grow more? Of course, everybody can grow more. And we also have things coming behind us that will continue to enhance our position in the market and to be able to become a larger organization. We are looking out for people in the oil and gas space, whether they have a well to drill, or they have production to be managed, or they have a well to be repaired, or they want their systems and processes to be revamped, or they want to develop young talent. Okay, they should look out for us. We're also looking out for them. We're also looking for companies who need software platforms, whether it's for human resources management, whether it's for time management, and so on and so forth. We've developed software platforms in that domain. So we are looking out for them. I hope they will also look out for us. We're also looking out for organizations who can save a lot of cost by outsourcing some of the processes. Rather than, you know, having a huge finance department, a huge HR department, you could actually have those as services which you outsource, and it will save you a significant cost. And most so often, those services are now being delivered by people who have a much higher level of expertise. So not only that you're saving money, but you're getting a higher quality service. So those are the people that look out for us, and we are also looking out for them. And hopefully, when we hit the marketplace with our e-commerce business, we'll be looking out for every Nigerian, wherever they might be, and we hope that they will also look out for us. What stands out is service. That's one word, right? Service. And in every business we've gone into, what we went in to do is to give service. And in that giving service, you have to drive it with excellence. And in driving excellence, you have to bring innovation. Okay? And in bringing that innovation, it has to be cost effective. And it has to meet what was originally requested for. So if you start from there and say, I'm here to serve, I have to serve excellently, I have to innovate, I have to achieve what was planned, and it has to be cost effective. That's our unique point.